The moment his daughter Danny appears, the man's hand snaps into the shape of a gun. Luckily, Grace arrives just in time, saving the brother and sister. Danny wants to go back to her father to see what happened, but Grace stops her. It's then that Danny truly understands. Her father's body has been taken over by the liquid Terminator, Tommy, and it's rapidly repairing itself. His next target is clearly Danny. In the blink of an eye, Tommy is in his true form and stands up again. Grace rushes the siblings away. Tommy leaps and charges right at them. Tommy and Grace clash in a brutal fight. As soon as she finds an opening, Grace slams Tommy onto a machine tool. Diego quickly activates the machine, temporarily trapping Tommy. The trio flees the factory and finds a truck to continue their escape, but Tommy has already commandeered a bulldozer and is in pursuit. At a highway interchange, Grace quickly maneuvers the truck, dodging Tommy. He pursues them relentlessly, smashing through a roadblock to keep up. Realizing this can't continue, Grace has Diego take the wheel. She climbs into the back of the truck's cargo area. Using a steel rebar, she launches an attack, but this only triggers Tommy's ability to split. He lifts a steel bar and rams it through the truck's cab. He then leaps onto the side of the truck, puncturing a tire. Suddenly, a metal plate on the cargo bed breaks loose. As bullets fly toward them, Moon Knight spreads his cloak wide, shielding Layla in his arms. With a graceful spin, he deflects the bullets right back, taking down the attackers one by one. Just as Moon Knight prepares to finish them off, his alter ego suddenly takes control. That brief hesitation gives the enemies a chance. A cavalry unit charges in, striking him down hard. Forced to switch personalities again, he tries to regain control, but the soldiers pin him to the ground. At his breaking point, he sees Layla in danger from afar. Without a second thought, Moon Knight unleashes his full strength, eliminating every last threat around him. Under Khonshu's urgent command, they quickly flee the scene. To locate Amit's tomb, Moon Knight switches to another persona, decoding clues from a star map. On a sky chart shaped like a pentagram, he finds the coordinates they need. To confirm the exact position, Khonshu bends time itself, taking them back to the night when the stars first revealed the pattern. But breaking the divine order comes at a cost. Before Khonshu is imprisoned by the gods, Layla successfully pinpoints the location of Amit's tomb.
I got it!
The man's body was suddenly covered in a black liquid. It hardened quickly, forming a full spacesuit around him. At that moment, his pod was ejected from the main ship, but the helmet hadn't finished forming. Andy looked up in panic, just in time to see the mothership crash into a planet. The emergency system triggered, firing dozens of pods into space. Many were destroyed instantly. Only a few survivors were thrown toward a strange new world. His pod plummeted, and without a helmet, Andy was close to suffocating from the pressure. At the last second, the pod's system reactivated. The helmet sealed into place, allowing him to breathe again. The pod kept falling, its shell heating up from re-entry. Other pods around him exploded one by one. By sheer luck, his craft broke through the atmosphere. The extreme cold of the planet stabilized his suit, keeping his body intact. But fuel was nearly gone. His pod spiraled out of control and slammed into the surface. Andy survived the impact. Just as he was about to get up to check on the situation, the cabin flipped over and fell into a deep pit. The suit tore open, oxygen leaking fast. He patched the hole with sealant, only to realize his supply was almost empty. Crawling out of the wreckage, he looked up at the sky. A fiery streak blazed downward, the mothership breaking apart. Moments later, a massive shockwave ripped across the land, hurling Andy through the air. The woman had found a way to live forever. Lasers scanned her body and Elizabeth was wrapped in a nanofilm, her body entering a deep sleep mode. But unexpectedly, the sleep pod malfunctioned. She woke up gasping for air, struggling with all her strength to breathe, breaking free from the nanofilm. Elizabeth realized she was still connected to the machine, a consciousness extractor strapped to her head. The lights on the pod slowly turned on, and the screen displayed an AI named Milo. It indicated that there is only 35% oxygen left in the cabin. Worse, Elizabeth had lost her memory. She didn't even remember who she was. Images of the hospital flashed before her eyes, and she desperately tried to call for help, while the oxygen kept dropping. She asked Milo to open the pod, but it required an admin password and she knew nothing. She had Milo try contacting the police, reporting the pod's brand and serial number, but they said the device had been destroyed 3 years ago. Elizabeth collapsed in despair. The AI extended a mechanical arm to calm her down. Elizabeth grabbed it and tore the device from her head. She tried to pry open the pod, but accidentally triggered the safety system. An electric shock hit her. Oxygen was now at just 20%. A stranger called, warning her that she was in danger. Seeing that she trusted no one, the caller gave her the admin password, but warned her never to open the pod. Elizabeth ignored the warning. She tried to unlock the pod immediately. In the next second, her body suddenly began to float. It was then she realized she wasn't on Earth, she was in space.
The man only used a few drops of eye drops, but it sent his girlfriend to the police station. Those drops were Amari's special formula designed to pull people into a virtual world. She broke the rules and got caught. When her boss learned she could face 15 years, he offered her another choice: become a test subject in a virtual prison program. Amari had no way out. She strapped on the monitoring device, let the drops fall into her eyes, and she was pulled into a sealed room. The walls lit up with a digital screen, counting the days one by one. There was no hunger and no cold in this prison, but time was twisted. 1 minute in reality was equal to 1 year inside. 365 days of solitude was enough to break anyone. She forced herself to stay busy. She worked out, ran math problems, repeated facts from memory, trying to figure out why the drops caused seizures in her boyfriend. She talked to the air, trying to stay awake. Days crawled by. Finally, the counter reached 365. She thought freedom was near, but in an instant, the numbers reset to 0. Day 1 all over again. Amari broke down, pounding the walls, ripping at the screens in desperation. Then she found the loose end. Behind it was nothing but a thin sheet of plastic. She pushed through, only to discover she wasn't in a virtual world at all. She had been locked in a warehouse the entire time. Stacks of canned food filled the space. There are countless monitors. Her boss had been watching her every moment for an entire year.
Deadpool found himself cornered, fleeing in his spaceship just as it was about to be shot down. In a desperate move, he slammed open a time portal and shot straight through. Time rewound. Young Deadpool wandered alone in the forest, tiny sparks floating through the air, and a mysterious gap appeared above the trees. He quickly ran home with his dog, but heard strange noises from the warehouse. The dog dashed in without hesitation, and young Deadpool followed. He pushed the door open and saw a wounded Adam sitting inside. He demanded to know who Adam was, but Adam only asked how old he was. When he learned the boy was 12, Adam realized the timeline had shifted. Young Adam, however, had no idea, only puzzled by how close the dog was to this man. Then he noticed Adam's actions, closing the fridge exactly like him, knowing the bedroom light without looking, even finding disinfectants instantly. They even scolded the dog in sync. Now he was convinced the man before him was his future self. Time was running out. Adam took him to the forest, but no matter how he pressed the launch switch, the spaceship didn't appear. Adam's injuries had triggered a no-fly safety system, yet young Deadpool shared the same DNA. As he pressed the button, the spaceship slowly emerged, and the two of them rose into the sky together. Houses are being ripped apart. Police officers work hard to push the crowd back, but curious people still stay to watch. The ground cracks even faster. A huge church is torn open. Pieces of the building fall into the deep hole. The ground moves up and down like it is breathing. Then it suddenly drops. Something looks like it is about to burst out of the earth. A car falls into the deep pit by accident, but a strange force shoots it back out. Next, a monster slowly rises from the deep hole. Everyone runs away in fear. When the smoke clears, Ray can finally see it clearly. It is a giant steel octopus monster with 3 legs. Smart people quickly run away, but some brave people still take out their cameras to film. Anything touched by the monster's laser instantly turns to ash. Ray runs home as fast as he can. He is shocked and scared when he gets there, but he quickly packs bags and takes his children to leave. Ray goes to his friend's car repair shop. He finds his car, which was just fixed, and gets ready to drive off. His friend comes over to say hello. Ray does not have time to explain much. He tells his friend to get in the car fast, but his friend looks confused. Ray sees a flash of fire down the street behind the car. He slams the door shut. He drives away past his friend. The next second, a laser beam attacks. Can Ray and his family successfully escape? Hector is trapped in a time loop, and with every loop, he is hunted by a man whose head is wrapped in bandages. Hector is terrified. He turns and runs. His path is blocked by a barbed wire fence. He climbs over it and finds an abandoned villa. He breaks in, first tending to his wounds. Then he notices the house is filled with various scientific instruments. He picks up a walkie-talkie and tries to call for help. The person on the other end only warns him that the bandaged man is at the door, telling Hector to run. The voice tells him the location of a lab at the top of the mountain. Hector races to the lab and finds the scientist he spoke with. In the room, there is a large white tank. Seeing the bandaged man about to catch up, the scientist suggests they both hide inside the tank. Hector hesitates, but the bandaged man appears at the window. Hector gives in and insists the scientist join him, but the scientist pretends not to hear. Hector wakes up to find that it's morning. The scientist has no memory of the events that just occurred. Hector uses binoculars to look at his own house. There, surprisingly, was another version of himself. He drives home, determined to find out what's happening. Halfway there, he is rear-ended. The car crashes into a tree. His head begins to bleed. He takes the bandage off his arm and wraps it around his head. It is then that he realizes the bandaged man who was chasing him was actually himself. Deadpool simply picked up the glasses from the ground, switching into SHIELD agent mode. The next second, he transformed into Captain America, blocking the incoming punch. He even summoned a Hulk-like arm. At this moment, the game company employees were stunned. It turned out that Guy was just an NPC in the game. Even if a thrown grenade returned to his hand, a single sleep would reset everything perfectly. He put on the same shirt, walking the streets again. Attracted by a stylish female player, he was about to approach her when trouble struck. Guy, resurrected once more, adjusted his fixed blue shirt, and headed to work at the bank. People on the street wearing sunglasses were all real players. Those without sunglasses were NPCs. As usual, Guy waited for players to arrive at the bank. A group of burly men rushed in. Calmly, Guy lay on the floor, chatting with the security guard. Suddenly, he saw the female player from yesterday. His independent thought instantly awakened. He stood up, trying to sneak out, but a player robber tried to take him down, only to be defeated by Guy. He even grabbed the robber's sunglasses, and everything around him changed completely. Now, he was a player. Touching a medkit, his wounds healed instantly. He used the money in his account to buy himself a new pair of shoes. But the good times didn't last. The game company received reports about an NPC breaking the game's rules. The boss immediately sent someone in. Guy hid everywhere with no escape. He had no choice but to press the button on his shoe, launching into the sky. He grabbed a rope to survive. Seeing pursuers close behind, he pushed forward with all his strength. A man with high-level paralysis decided to implant an artificial intelligence chip stem into his body. With the stem's help, his bodily functions began to recover. Now, he could finally stand, even run with ease. He wanted to track down the criminals who had harmed him years ago. Watching surveillance footage, the stem locked onto key clues and even identified the suspect. He tracked the address to the criminal's house. While searching for evidence, the criminal suddenly returned. Gray was no match for him. At the critical moment, the stem suggested taking over. In the next second, the crisis was resolved. His body reacted with lightning speed, easily subduing the thug. After finding the next clue, Gray resumed pretending to be paralyzed. Following the lead to a local bar, he dropped the criminal's name, asking if anyone knew him. The crowd laughed, and a man stepped forward, pushed him into the restroom, and threw him to the floor, ready to interrogate. The stem blocked the pain, so Gray felt nothing. He asked the man, "Are you an accomplice?" The man laughed and admitted he was. Gray let the stem take over again. Impossible moves and actions were executed effortlessly. The helpless thug had no choice but to reveal the mastermind's name. Just then, the stem warned Gray that, being away from the central system, it was being shut down remotely. Gray was about to return to paralysis, and the stem needed a hacker's help. He sprinted out, feeling his body's functions fade as the smart brain powered down. At the last second, he reached the hacker's doorstep. Reed climbs onto Galactus, attempting an attack. But Galactus simply grabs him and toys with him, violently stretching his body. Just then, Ben and Johnny fly in from above. They rescue Reed from the brink of death. Galactus uses the opportunity to locate a tall skyscraper. His target is the baby, Franklin. The nanny robot immediately activates the building's defense system, but it can't stop Galactus. He instantly destroys the building and pulls Franklin out. This small infant has the power to create and alter reality. Galactus covets the baby's power. In a moment of crisis, Sue, the mother, breaks free from the wreckage. Maternal instinct fuels her superpower. A massive force field accumulates around her body. It pushes Galactus back, step by step. Seeing this, The others immediately act. Johnny speeds to the temporal portal controller, ready to engage. Ben relentlessly smashes nearby stone pillars, clearing a path for Sue. Propelled by the immense force field, Galactus's body is uncontrollably pushed over the boundary line. Johnny instantly activates the portal. Reed flies in again, snatching the baby from Galactus's grasp. Just as everyone finally catches their breath, Galactus suddenly breaks free from the portal. In a moment of desperation, Johnny gathers all his power, ready to turn the tide, but Sue stops him. She then charges straight at Galactus. She slams him through the portal.